Hello everyone and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. Our presentation is titled Poverty as a Challenge. We'll explore what poverty really means, its causes, and how we can address it. Over the next few slides, we'll look at key insights and potential solutions. Let's get started. Let's take a look at the contents of this presentation. We start with an introduction to set the stage for our discussion. Moving forward, we'll explore what the data and observations actually show us about poverty. Then, we delve into the concept of vulnerability, understanding how susceptible different groups are to falling into poverty. Next, we examine the poverty line, which is a crucial measure used by policymakers and social scientists. We'll see how social scientists interpret poverty and what their insights reveal. The presentation also covers causes of poverty, helping us understand the roots of this complex issue. We'll look at specific case studies, such as rural areas, to see how poverty manifests in different contexts. Social exclusion is another important aspect, highlighting how certain groups are marginalized and face greater challenges. Throughout, we'll revisit the poverty line, emphasizing its significance in measuring and addressing poverty. Lastly, we'll discuss the challenges ahead, including the anti-poverty measures implemented by the Indian government, and what more needs to be done to create sustainable solutions. All these points connect into a comprehensive view of poverty, its causes, impacts, and the ongoing efforts to alleviate it. Welcome to our third slide. Here, I want to talk about something we all see in our daily lives. We often come across many people whom we think of as poor. These could be landless laborers working in villages or people living in cramped, overcrowded juggies in cities. It's important to realize that poverty isn't just about having less money. It's also about lacking access to basic needs and opportunities. Recognizing these different faces of poverty helps us understand the broader picture. This is a key part of our overall theme, seeing poverty in its many forms and understanding how it affects people's lives everywhere. Let's take a moment to look at the reality of poverty around us. Sometimes, we see beggars with children dressed in tattered clothes, and it's a stark reminder of the hardships faced by many. Poverty isn't just an isolated issue, it's all around us, woven into the fabric of our society. In fact, every fourth person in India is living in poverty. This means that 1 out of every 4 people you encounter may be struggling to meet their basic needs. Recognizing this helps us understand the scale of the problem and why addressing poverty is so crucial in our efforts to create a more equitable society. Let's take a moment to understand the scale of the issue. When we talk about poverty in India, we're looking at roughly 260 million people. That's about 26 crore individuals living below the poverty line. That's an enormous number, and it highlights just how significant this challenge is. In fact, India has the largest single concentration of poor people in the entire world. This isn't just a statistic, it reflects the depth and complexity of poverty here. And understanding this helps us grasp the gravity of the problem we're addressing today. It underscores why tackling poverty is not just an economic issue, but a vital social priority that impacts millions of lives across the country. Let's take a closer look at the story of Ram Saran, an urban case that highlights the realities faced by many. Ram Saran is 33 years old and works as a daily wage laborer at a wheat flour mill near Ranchi in Jharkhand. On good days, he manages to earn around 1,500 rupees a month, but this isn't enough to support his entire family. His family consists of himself, his wife, and their 4 children, whose ages range from just 6 months to 12 years. He also has old parents living in a village near Ramgarh, and he sends money back home to support them. Ram Saran lives in a small 1-room rented house on the outskirts of the city, in a crowded urban settlement. His wife, Santa Devi, works part-time as a maid in a few households and earns about 800 rupees a month. Together, they struggle to make ends meet, usually managing just 2 meals a day, dal and rice. These meals are often not enough for everyone. Their elder son, who is just helping out, works as a helper in a tea shop and earns around 300 rupees. Their 10-year-old daughter takes care of the younger siblings, as there's no school attendance or proper health care for the children. The children only have 2 pairs of second-hand clothes, and shoes are considered a luxury. When they fall ill, they have no access to health care. This story underscores how limited income and lack of resources impact families like Ram Saran. It highlights the harsh realities faced by many urban poor, living in difficult conditions, with little to no access to basic needs, which connects directly to our broader discussion on urban poverty and the importance of social support systems. Let's take a closer look at a rural case to understand how these concepts apply in real-world settings. When we talk about rural areas, we're often dealing with different challenges compared to urban environments, such as limited access to resources and infrastructure. However, these areas also offer unique opportunities for targeted interventions. In this case, we see how tailored strategies can significantly improve outcomes by addressing specific local needs. It highlights the importance of context-specific solutions rather than one-size-fits-all approaches. Connecting this to the overall theme, it underscores the idea that understanding local environments is crucial for effective implementation and sustainable impact. Rural cases remind us that adaptability and community engagement are key components of success. Today, I want to share with you the story of Elcaas Singh, who hails from a small village near Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. His family doesn't own any land, so they rely on doing odd jobs for the bigger farmers. Sometimes, they earn just Rs50 for a tough day's work. With a family of 8, it's often difficult to even get 2 square meals a day. They live in a simple kucha hut on the outskirts of the village. The women spend their days chopping fodder and collecting firewood from the fields, doing whatever they can to help the family survive. Elcaas had to start earning at a very young age, just 10 years old. His father, who was a TB patient, passed away 2 years ago because they couldn't access proper medication. Now, his mother is suffering from the same disease, and her health is slowly deteriorating. Although there is a primary school in the village, Elcaas never attended it. Instead, he began working early to support his family. Clothing and basic necessities are rare luxuries for them. New clothes are bought only once in a few years, and even soap and oil are hard to come by. Elcaas's story highlights the extreme hardships faced by children in such vulnerable situations, and it reminds us of the urgent need for support and change. What do these images and facts tell us about poverty? They clearly show that poverty means hunger and a lack of proper shelter. When people are living in poverty, they often face mistreatment in many areas of their lives. It's not just about not having enough food or a safe place to live. It also means they don't have access to clean water or proper sanitation facilities. And on top of that, poverty often means not having a stable, decent job, something that can provide a basic level of security and dignity. All these points highlight how interconnected and severe the challenges of poverty are. They remind us why addressing poverty is essential for creating a fairer, healthier society. When social scientists look at poverty, they don't just see numbers or income levels. Instead, they consider a range of social indicators that paint a more comprehensive picture. For example, they examine literacy levels, because higher illiteracy often correlates with limited opportunities and persistent poverty. They also look at health-related issues, such as malnutrition, which reduces a person's overall resistance and ability to work or learn effectively. Access to health care is another crucial factor. If people can't get proper medical services, their well-being and productivity suffer. Furthermore, social scientists consider job opportunities because without stable employment, escaping poverty becomes much more difficult. Access to basic necessities like safe drinking water and sanitation is also vital, since these directly impact health and quality of life. All of these indicators, literacy, health, employment, water, and sanitation, are interconnected and together help us understand the broader social context of poverty. They remind us that addressing poverty isn't just about increasing income, but also about improving living conditions and social infrastructure. This holistic view is essential as we explore ways to create sustainable solutions. Let's take a closer look at how social scientists view poverty today. More and more, the analysis of poverty is shifting away from just income levels or basic needs. Instead, it focuses on concepts like social exclusion and vulnerability. What does that mean? Well, social exclusion refers to how some groups or individuals are pushed to the margins of society, making it harder for them to access opportunities and resources. Vulnerability, on the other hand, highlights how certain populations are more susceptible to risks and shocks, like economic downturns or natural disasters, that can deepen their poverty. These perspectives help us see poverty as a complex, multidimensional issue, not just about lack of money, but about social relationships and resilience. This approach aligns perfectly with our overall theme of understanding poverty holistically and designing more effective solutions. By considering social exclusion and vulnerability, we can better identify the barriers people face and work towards more inclusive and sustainable development. Let's talk about the concept of social exclusion. Essentially, it suggests that we should view poverty not just as a lack of money, but as a broader experience of being confined to poor surroundings with others who are also struggling. This creates a cycle where those in poverty are often isolated from the social opportunities and privileges enjoyed by wealthier groups. What's really important here is understanding that social exclusion means being cut off from the social equality that comes with better living conditions and access to resources. It's about more than just economic hardship. It's about the social and psychological barriers that prevent individuals from fully participating in society. By framing poverty this way, we see that it's not just an individual issue but a societal one, highlighting the need for inclusive policies that break down these barriers. This idea connects to the overall theme of our presentation, which is about understanding the multifaceted nature of poverty and working toward solutions that promote true social integration and equality. Vulnerability, in the context of poverty, is a really important concept to understand. It refers to the likelihood or risk that certain communities or individuals are more prone to becoming poor or staying poor over time. For example, we might think about members of backward castes or marginalized groups who face systemic disadvantages, or consider individuals like widows or those with physical disabilities. They often have fewer resources and support systems. This measure helps us identify those who are most at risk of falling into poverty or being unable to escape it. Recognizing vulnerability is crucial because it shifts our focus from just current poverty levels to future risks. It also highlights the need for targeted interventions to protect these vulnerable groups and build resilience. When we talk about vulnerability within the broader theme of social and economic development, it reminds us that addressing poverty isn't just about improving income levels now, but also about reducing the risks that keep people trapped in poverty over generations. Let's talk about the poverty line. A common way to measure poverty is by looking at income or consumption levels. Essentially, if a person's income or their consumption falls below a certain minimum level needed to meet basic needs, they are considered poor. This minimum level acts as a benchmark, helping us identify who is struggling to access essentials like food, shelter, and clothing. By understanding this threshold, we can better grasp the scope of poverty in a society. It's a straightforward but powerful concept that ties directly into our broader discussion on economic well-being and social inequality. Recognizing who falls below this line helps policymakers target interventions more effectively. Let's take a closer look at the concept of the poverty line. Currently, the formula we use to estimate the poverty line is based on the amount of food needed to meet a specific calorie requirement. Essentially, we determine what a person needs to survive and then set that as a benchmark for poverty. The idea is that if someone's food intake falls below this minimum calorie level, they're considered to be below the poverty line. This approach helps us quantify poverty in a measurable way. It's important because it connects directly to the overall theme of understanding economic deprivation and how we can better assess and address basic needs within a society. Let's talk about the concept of the poverty line in India. The accepted average calorie requirement is set at 2,400 calories per person per day for those living in rural areas and 2,100 calories per person per day for urban residents. These figures are important because they help us understand what is considered a basic, adequate level of nutrition for different populations. They also serve as a benchmark for measuring poverty. If someone's daily calorie intake falls below these levels, it indicates that they might be struggling to meet their basic nutritional needs. This ties into the overall theme of poverty and food security, highlighting how economic conditions directly impact people's health and well-being. By understanding these standards, we can better assess the extent of food insecurity and the need for targeted interventions. Now, let's talk about the poverty line. When we consider people living in rural areas, it's important to understand that they often engage in more physically demanding work. Because of this, their calorie requirements tend to be higher compared to those in urban areas. This difference is crucial because it influences how we set thresholds for measuring poverty. Essentially, the energy needs of rural populations are greater, which should be reflected in how we define and address poverty in these regions. This connection helps us see the bigger picture of how living conditions and daily activities impact economic and nutritional standards across different areas. Let's take a closer look at the causes of poverty. One major factor was the low level of economic development during the British colonial administration. Unfortunately, the policies at that time didn't effectively promote economic growth or support the population. This failure on both fronts, economic expansion and population management, created a cycle that kept poverty entrenched. Essentially, because development was stunted and population growth wasn't controlled, the cycle of poverty continued without interruption. This historical context helps us understand how these colonial policies laid the groundwork for ongoing economic challenges. Let's take a closer look at some of the causes of poverty. One major factor is irregular small incomes, which means that many people earn inconsistent or very low wages, making it difficult to meet basic needs consistently. This instability can trap families in a cycle of poverty. Another important aspect is economic factors, such as income inequalities. When wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, the majority may struggle to access opportunities or resources needed for upward mobility. Large gaps between the rich and the poor create barriers that keep many from escaping poverty. Sociocultural factors also play a significant role. These include cultural norms, social attitudes, and practices that may limit access to education, employment, or social services for certain groups. When societal structures are biased or exclusionary, they perpetuate cycles of poverty across generations. All of these causes are interconnected and highlight how complex the issue of poverty truly is. Understanding these factors helps us develop more targeted and effective solutions to address this persistent challenge. Now, let's look at the anti-poverty measures taken by the Indian government. Currently, their strategy mainly rests on two broad approaches. The first is the promotion of economic growth, which aims to create more opportunities and lift people out of poverty through overall development. The second is targeted anti-poverty programs, which focus specifically on helping the most vulnerable populations. These programs are designed to directly address the needs of those in extreme poverty, providing support where it's needed the most. Connecting this to our overall theme, it's clear that a balanced approach, combining broad economic growth with targeted interventions, is essential for effectively reducing poverty. Both strategies work together to not only boost the economy, but also ensure that the benefits reach everyone, especially the marginalized sections of society. Today, I want to talk about the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act of 2005, or NREGA for short. Its main goal is to ensure livelihood security in rural areas, which is a crucial part of our overall development theme. The Act guarantees that every household in rural areas, where adult members are willing to do unskilled manual work, will receive at least 100 days of wage employment in a financial year. This means that if families are ready to work, they can count on this employment to support their livelihoods. The focus here is on providing essential work opportunities, helping reduce poverty, and empowering rural communities. This act is a significant step toward making rural livelihoods more secure and resilient, aligning perfectly with the broader goal of inclusive growth and social protection. Today, I want to talk about the National Food for Work Program, or NFWP. This program was launched on 14th November 2004, and it targeted 150 of the most backward districts in India. The main goal here was to generate supplementary wage employment, especially in areas where employment opportunities were limited. What's important to note is that the program is open to all rural poor individuals who are willing to do manual, unskilled labor. This initiative not only provides food security, but also helps improve livelihoods by creating work opportunities in the most underserved regions. It aligns with our overall theme of promoting inclusive growth and sustainable development by empowering the rural poor through employment. The Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana, or PMRY, is a significant initiative aimed at addressing unemployment among educated youth. Its primary goal is to create employment opportunities for over 1 million people by encouraging the establishment of around 7 lakh micro-ventures. Essentially, it's about empowering young, jobless individuals to become self-employed entrepreneurs. The scheme focuses on promoting self-employment through various sectors like commerce, services, and business activities. By supporting small ventures, PMRY not only helps reduce unemployment, but also fosters economic growth at the grassroots level. This initiative aligns perfectly with our overall theme of promoting entrepreneurship and sustainable development as key drivers of progress. The Rural Employment Generation Program, or REGP, was launched in 1995 with some very clear objectives. Its main goal was to generate employment opportunities in rural areas, which are often underserved when it comes to job creation. But it's not just about jobs. It also aims to develop entrepreneurial skills and foster a positive attitude among rural youth who are unemployed. By doing this, the program is helping to promote rural industrialization, turning rural areas into hubs of small-scale industries and local enterprises. Another key aspect is encouraging financial institutions to participate more actively, which means facilitating higher credit flow to rural industries. All these efforts are interconnected, creating jobs, building skills, and increasing access to finance to support sustainable rural development. This program fits into our overall theme of empowering rural communities and fostering inclusive economic growth. The Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, or SGSY, is a crucial scheme that focuses on promoting self-employment among villagers. Its main goal is to empower rural communities by helping them establish their own livelihoods. How does it achieve this? By forming self-help groups, which serve as the foundation for collective effort and mutual support. These activity clusters are created based on the specific aptitudes and skills of the community members. This means that the scheme recognizes the unique talents of each individual and nurtures them to reach their full potential. It's all about tailoring opportunities to what people are good at and what they enjoy doing. Funding is also a key aspect. These initiatives are supported by NGOs, banks, and financial institutions, ensuring that resources are available to sustain and grow these small enterprises. Overall, SGSY is aligned with the larger goal of rural development and self-sufficiency, helping villages become more economically stable and self-reliant through targeted skill development and financial support. Today, I want to talk about the Pradhan Mantri Gramoddaya Yojana, or PMGY for short. This scheme was launched in the year 2002, won across all states and union territories, with a clear goal in mind. The aim was to promote sustainable human development right at the village level, which is the foundation of overall national progress. Initially, PMGY focused on 5 key components. These included primary health, which is about ensuring basic healthcare services reach even the most remote villages. Then there is primary education, making sure children have access to quality schooling close to home. Rural shelter was another important component, aiming to improve housing conditions and living standards. Rural drinking water focused on providing safe and clean water to villages, a vital need for health and hygiene. Lastly, nutrition was emphasized to combat malnutrition and ensure healthy growth for children and families. By concentrating on these core areas, PMGY aimed to create a holistic approach to rural development, aligning perfectly with our overall theme of sustainable progress and inclusive growth. It's about empowering villages with the essential services they need to thrive and contribute to the nation's development. Antyodaya Anna Yojana, or AAY, is a scheme sponsored by the Indian government that's specifically aimed at helping the poorest of the poor families. It targets around 10 million families who are most in need. The idea is to identify those who are truly vulnerable and provide them with essential food support. Under this scheme, these families receive 35 kilograms of rice and wheat each month. The best part is that they get these at highly subsidized rates, just Rs. 3 per kilogram for rice and Rs. 2 per kilogram for wheat. This initiative is a crucial part of our broader effort to ensure food security and social inclusion, helping lift the most disadvantaged sections of society out of hunger and poverty. Now, as we look ahead, we recognize that many challenges still lie before us. Providing equitable health care, quality education, and stable jobs for everyone remains a significant goal. These are complex issues that require continued effort and innovative solutions. We also need to focus on achieving true gender equality and ensuring dignity for the poorest among us. These are not just lofty ideals, they are essential for creating fair and inclusive societies. And let's remember, these challenges are even bigger than some of the progress we've made so far. They demand our ongoing commitment and collaboration. This ties back to our overall theme, building a better, more equitable world. It's a reminder that while we've come a long way, there's still much work to do to ensure a brighter future for all. So even though we've made significant progress, the biggest challenge that still looms is reducing poverty across the country. It's important to recognize that poverty isn't evenly spread out. There are wide disparities between rural and urban areas, and also among different states. Rural areas, in particular, tend to face higher levels of poverty compared to cities. Additionally, certain social and economic groups are more vulnerable than others. For example, marginalized communities, women, and lower caste groups often face greater hurdles in escaping poverty. This highlights that poverty isn't just about income levels, but also about social exclusion and unequal opportunities. Connecting this to our overall theme, it's clear that tackling poverty requires targeted strategies that address these disparities and vulnerabilities. It's about more than just economic growth. It's about inclusive growth that lifts everyone equally. This remains one of the most pressing challenges we need to address if we want to build a truly equitable and prosperous India. As we look ahead, the challenges we face in reducing poverty are still significant, but there is reason to be optimistic. Over the next 10 to 15 years, we can expect to see better progress, largely driven by several key factors. First, higher economic growth will play a crucial role, creating more opportunities and resources to lift people out of poverty. Second, there will be an increasing emphasis on universal free elementary education, which is essential for empowering the next generation and breaking the cycle of poverty. Additionally, declining population growth can help us allocate resources more effectively, ensuring that development efforts reach more people. And perhaps most importantly, the empowerment of women and the economically weaker sections of society will continue to be a driving force for inclusive growth. All these factors together reinforce our overall theme, that sustainable development and social inclusion are the pathways to a better future for all. Thank you so much for your attention, and let's keep working towards these goals together.